I'm Dr. Russell McKechnie-Guire. Thank you to the British Equine Veterinary Association for accepting this research titled Variations in Epaxial Musculature Dimensions and Horse Height over a Period of 8 Hours. In accordance with presentation regulations, we declare that the funding was provided by Centaur Biomechanics and Woolcroft Saddlery. Competing interest that Thilo Fowl is owner of Equigate Limited, providing gait analysis products and services. The ethics were approved by the Royal Veterinary College Ethics and Welfare Committee, and informed consent was given by all riders and owners. The thoracolumbar-sacral region of the vertebral column is an important anatomical region with particular relevance for the structure and functional component to the equine locomotor apparatus. Vertebral stability is achieved by an active and passive mechanism moderated by the epaxial and hypaxial musculature. The horse's viscera, ventral to the vertebral column, is subject to dynamic forces, gravity, and in approximately a 500 kg horse, this would weigh around 150 kg. A well-defined musculoskeletal system is ideal in the management of sports horses. Reported changes in epaxial musculature dimensions at T13 and T18. It has been shown that increase in muscle dimensions at T13 after 30 minutes of exercise in a correctly fitted saddle. It's also been shown of an increase at T13 in muscle dimensions using a modified saddle panel in dressage and jumping horses. It's also been shown that there's been a decrease in muscle dimensions at T13 in horses ridden in a wide saddle, and also a decrease in muscle dimensions at T18 in horses ridden in a narrow saddle. Do epaxial musculature dimensions alter as a function of a change in back height? This study's aim was to determine whether changes in epaxial musculature of the thoracic spine are related to a change in horse height over a period of 8 hours. It was hypothesized that throughout the day there would be a decrease in epaxial muscle dimensions at T13, there would be a decrease in vertical distance between T13 and the ground, and there would be a decrease in the vertical distance between T18 and the ground. For this study, we used 10 non-lame riding horses, and thoracic epaxial musculature dimensions were obtained using a brand new flexicurve ruler, which was shaped around the dorsum perpendicular to the dorsal midline. The flexicurve ruler has been shown to be a reliable method when quantifying changes in epaxial muscle dimensions. 3 repeated measurements were taken at the level of T10, T13, and T18. Measurements were performed by 5 Society of Master Saddlers qualified saddle fitters, and 2 horses were randomly assigned per saddle fitter. Thoracolumbar dimensions were then drawn onto A3 graph paper, and the distance between the left and right sides was measured at 3 centimeters and 15 centimeters ventral to the midline. Horse height was also measured using a measuring stick, and again 3 repeated measurements were taken at 3 levels of the vertebral column, T10, T13, and T18. Measurements were taken and repeated hourly for 8 consecutive hours. For the statistics, we used a mixed model with horse as random factor, hour as fixed factor, and then we applied a Bonferroni post hoc correction with a significance level set at 0.05. Here we have changes in epaxial muscle dimensions at T13, 3 centimeters ventral to the midline. On the vertical axis, we have centimeters, and on the horizontal axis, we have hours. And we found here that there's no significant differences observed between hours. Here we have the changes in epaxial muscle dimensions at T13, but this time 15 centimeters ventral to the midline. And again, on the horizontal axis, we have hours, and on the vertical axis, we have the centimeters. And what we found here, compared to hour 1, that there was a decrease in epaxial muscle dimensions at hour 6 and hour 7. Again, here we have changes in epaxial muscle dimensions at T18, 3 centimeters ventral to the midline, and we found no significant differences between hours. And also here, 15 centimeters ventral to the midline, the epaxial muscle dimensions at T18, and we also found no significant differences observed between hours. When looking at changes in horse height, we found no significant differences observed between hours when looking at horse height from T13 to the ground. However, when looking at horse height at T18, we found that horse height measured at T18 differed overall between hours, but no significant pairwise differences were identified. So changes in the epaxial muscle dimensions at T13, 15 centimeters ventral to the midline, could be influenced by the location of the center of mass. The mid-thoracic region corresponds to the lowest point of the equine back, hence it may be influenced by the dynamic effect of the viscera, which over time and with increased movement may become more evident. Horse height did not change at T13, therefore the changes in epaxial musculature were not as a function of a change in height. Changes in height at T18 may be due to increased range of motion of the thoracolumbar-sacral region. This study has demonstrated in this group of horses that epaxial muscle dimensions vary over an 8-hour period in the region of T13, 15 centimeters ventral to the midline at hours 6 and 7. Changes in epaxial musculature at T13 is not as a result of a change in height. Height at T18 differs over an 8-hour period. There are some limitations to this study. Only back dimensions in horses which were stable for 8 hours were quantified. A mixed population of horses were studied. We had sports horses and geriatric horses. And the intravariation of the qualified saddle fitters was less than 0.02. However, variation should be considered when interpreting these findings. So in conclusion, the equine epaxial musculature alters throughout the day in the region of T13 and horse height alters at T18. It is speculated that these changes are as a function of the dynamic effects of the viscera. Over time, this may influence equine posture and spinal health. From a saddle fitting perspective, saddle fitters should consider the horse's activity prior to measuring epaxial muscle dimensions. In cases where the horse is stabled versus moving, walking, grazing, measurements may differ between assessments and visits. And from a rehabilitation perspective, the use of exercises to activate the horse's core and improve posture throughout the day may be useful in maintaining good posture and spinal health. And here we can see in the purple bars the sports horses, and here we can see also the grey bars, the geriatric horses, and both groups of horses at hours 6 and 7 showed the reduction at T13, 15 centimeters ventral to the midline. So thanks to the research team for assisting with this research project, and thank you once again to Beaver for accepting this research project, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.